Well, a little change of scenery today. I'm in my garage at home, and I'm going to try to build a rough, quick little workbench. I'm wanting to do a little more work in my own garage instead of in my school office. So I've picked up several 2x4s, and right now I'm going to cut the height. I'm going to cut my legs out. And I was wanting mine to be about, I want the basically a little over 40 inches tall. I like my tables to be a little bit higher. So alright, let's get to it. Okay, once I get one leg cut, I'm just going to butt it up against my other 2x4s and just mark a line. That way I don't have to remeasure again. I'm going to do this 3 more times to get 4 legs. Also, if you're like me, things get mixed up in the heat of things, and it's easy when you have a pile of 2x4s at different lengths to get mixed up. So I would recommend that you label your pieces as you go. Okay, so I have all 4 legs cut. I've got my tabletop board cut to 4 feet. Now you can see I kind of got it mocked up here with 2 of the legs where they would go, the table being on its side. And now I need to come in here and put a 2x4 that would stretch all the way across. Okay, so I'm going to need to measure that, and it'd be pretty easy if you consider that this is about an inch and a half, give you 3 inches, so then you could measure the width of your bench top and subtract 3 inches from it. Should give you the right width. Alright, so that measurement worked. The pieces fit the full width or depth of the table. The table would still be on its side. Nothing screwed together or glued together or anything. These 3 pieces of wood will just be wood screwed together. But I am going to have to, before I do that, I'm going to have to notch out each of these legs in order to add support for the runners that will go. But I will L-notch that thing out, sort of like a dado cut, and they will sink into each other, and that'll give support for weight. So I'm going to have to do that 4 times, 1 on each side of the table runner, that will then secure against the tabletop. Alright, so let's get to that. Alright, so I've got my blade height set at half the width of a 2x4. So I'm going to cut the width of a 2x4 and make this dado cut out of here. It's going to be a wide chunk. Sort of think about it like the way a log cabin or something would go together. So a good efficient way of making that groove is to make several cuts and just do a little space between, and then just take your hammer all those guys out. Alright, so after you've hammered all those notches out, you might end up with a few little strays, and I just take like a little knife and they just fall off real easy. So look at that nice clean notch that we've got there, and you can see that 2x4 is going to fit in there really well. Now this isn't the actual leg, but what's going to happen is the leg is going to be cut with a half notch here, very similar to that, except it's going to seat down in and it'll stop there. You'll see it in a second, so let's get to it. Alright, so making some dust still here. Got one of the legs here, and you can see how I've given it an open slotting where this one was a closed one. And what you could see now is if this is the leg sitting on the ground and this is the runner that the tabletop will be resting on, when that lip interlocks there, that's going to support a lot more weight than if I just screwed it together. So, you know, this is not a perfect fit there, but there's not going to be any stress that direction anyway. I'm really concerned just about that ledge and the runner sitting down on it, and I'm going to glue it together, and I'm going to wood screw it, and I got to do 3 more of these. Alright, well I got all the legs attached to the table runners. Alright, and so I just want to touch on what I did here. First I used my handy square here, and I had it down on the floor where that one is, and I held that against it to make sure it was 90 degrees. Pre-drilled my holes so I didn't split the wood. Slobbered some glue in, and then wood screwed it in. And so now the glue's all dry, pretty tight fit, and the whole point was for that to sit, for the runner to sit on the leg instead of the stress being all on the screws. Alright, let's get the frame together. Alright, so I've got the cross beam and what I'm calling the tabletop runner there attached with the leg. You can see I did the same thing, pre-drill, glue, screw, and what we've got is something that is starting to resemble a table now. So now what I've got to do is build a similar frame to go somewhere a little below the middle, and that'll be a box frame down there to give the legs a square support, and I can put a shelf on it. Just to add stability, another thing that I've done is I've added some cross beams up here on top, and once again just pre-drilled, glued, and screwed my wood screws in there, and it's really the same length as this board, so you could cut all those at once. Just think that's gonna give my center a little bit of support when the tabletop is on. Alright, so I'm really kind of tired of building stuff on the ground, so I set the top up on the bench. It's not screwed on or anything, but it's usable. So now I'm actually using my workbench to build the workbench, kind of like building a plane while you're taking off on the runway. But anyway, I have got this frame going here. It's going to fit right in between all four legs, probably a little less than halfway down, and that's going to give me a lot more sturdiness, and it's going to give me room to put another board down for a shelf. So now all I have to do is make sure these are square, pre-drill, maybe a little glue, and then a wood screw, and do that on all four corners and put this thing in place. So now I have the lower frame assembled, and I'm installing it under the workbench. And what I've done is I've just taken some scrap 2x4s, cut them all to the same length, whatever height I want the shelf to be at, and I've just got the frame resting on it. And so then I'm going to pre-drill, and you can see I've already wood screwed in this side. And I guess if you knew you were going to put a heavy load on this bottom shelf and you wanted more strength, you could just screw those extra braces in under it. I don't think I'm going to do that on this table though. Alright, so I have that lower frame installed, got the top on, got it screwed in. Now I didn't glue my top on because I'm anticipating destroying this thing as I work on stuff, and I want to be able to replace it pretty easily. So I've made it to where I can just unscrew it off and replace it as need be. Now I have the bottom shelf cut to fit on that bottom, and my next step is just to slide it in and screw it on, and it should be finished. And here's the finished product. This little workbench was really a joy to build. It's the first table I think I've ever built, and so I think I did it for under 20 bucks. Also, it's pretty sturdy. I can't wait to start actually using it. So if you're needing a table, don't be afraid to try to make one on your own. It's really not that difficult. Alright, that's all I've got for now. See you next time.